We are tonight's entertainment.
You can't handle the truth.
The fire rises.
Pizza time.
You're a wizard, Harry.
So it begins.
You know how much I sacrifice?
You think that's air you're breathing?
Groovy.
I don't have friends. I got family.
We are Sex People! 1, 2, 3, 4!
Craft Services.
Hey, Trent.
Hi, Parth.
It's good to see you.
You too. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
By the time you're hearing this, it won't be Halloween anymore.
Yeah, but we are recording on actual Halloween, which is notable. Okay. Which is notable for being Halloween and also for being...
Oh, Parth's younger brother, Viraj, from the Scott Pilgrim vs. the World discussion. We don't do discussions anymore. But Parth's younger brother, Viraj, it's his 17th birthday today on Halloween. And that's his birthday every year, right?
That is true, yes.
You're going. Well, I was about to say you're going out for sushi after this, but that's not what we're here.
But
to
what
do.
we're about to is not really what we do on the show, you know?
Yeah, we're more about what you've been eating. So, what have you been eating, Parth, friend, film podcaster?
Well, since it is Halloween, my family has bought 2 bags of the Costco candy bags. One is like full of chocolate, and the other is full of candy. So,
like gummies.
Well, like gummies, Skittles,
Sweet Tarts,
Airheads, Nerds. That's one bag. The other bag is like Reese's Cups, Kit Kats, M&Ms.
I want to come to your house.
Yeah.
And you just told me off air that basically no one comes to your house for Halloween because you live in sort of a quiet nook.
Well, yeah. Although now there's more younger kids, so I wonder like if that's gonna change.
Meanwhile, I can hear the ruckus upstairs of like my
Ding
parents and the doorbell and my crazy dogs
Twinkle,
and
tweet.
kids being like, "Your dogs are so good." And my mom being like, "Are you Beetlejuice? There's been a lot of Beetlejuices this year.
I wonder why.
The movie's not super good, and also Beetlejuice is like grabbing his crotch all the time.
That's interesting.
But he's pretty.
Hey,
funny.
I was Beetlejuice in 2020.
But Beetlejuice is not so good. But my parents, their approach in terms of candy, they don't trust themselves around sweets, and so they just bought one big bag of like gross gummies, like Haribo gummy bears and like the gummy colas. And I picked it up and I was like, this is like literally the last thing I would ever want.
Okay, I mean, I enjoy a Haribo gummy or, you know, things like that, but I don't want that to be the only thing I have access to.
Exactly. And so I just overheard a kid come up and be like, "Oh, I can't because I have a palate expander." And my mom was just like, "Oh, we didn't think that would happen."
Wow, that's brutal for that one kid. But let me say what I had to eat most recently, which is that I took from the bag of candy and had an Airhead, like one of the small ones, and a pack of Lifesaver gummies.
Birds of a feather, Parth. The last thing I had, I voted today.
Wow. For Trump,
and
correct?
I voted once for Trump, once for Jill Stein.
And to be fair, once for Kamala. So.
And then, frankly, and in all honesty, I sort of picked at random for the school board.
Brutal.
Because I don't know who's who. And it's
check
like they're
that
not
shit on
like,
your phone,
I'm
bro.
a Democrat, I'm a Republican. They all have sort of vague names like Save the Kids, Common Sense, Education, like things where like they could be evil or they could be good.
I mean, both of those sound pretty evil.
But yeah, you know, I just did my part democratically, and then I was like, let's get Mexican food, and then you remember Baja Fresh?
Of course I do.
Me and my mom learned, she was like, there used to be a Baja Fresh like 5 minutes from our house. She was like, oh, I miss that Baja Fresh. Let's go to the Baja Fresh 35 minutes away. And I was like, Mom, that's
oh my
overkill.
God. That's a crazy amount of distance to spend to go to a Baja Fresh.
And then I looked it up, and even that one, and I'm pretty sure there's no trace of Baja Freshes anymore, according to what Apple Maps told me today.
Well, maybe not near you, but I know there are still some standing. And I know this only because Baja Fresh used to be a semi-permanent fixture at my house.
Yeah, it's good.
Because, well, there was one nearby. It was quick. It was good. It didn't cost too much.
And then my
and
mom
then
was.
I think Chipotle, I guess, completely destroyed it.
That's what I was about to say. Is my mom was complaining that the fast casual Mexican food is no more, and I said, "Mom, Chipotle," and she said Chipotle doesn't agree with her. She was like, "Fuck that. We can do this ourselves."
Wow.
So then we just went and got guac and sour cream, and we made chicken tacos.
That's yummalicious. I think we've eaten up enough of the audience's time by this point. Why don't we cue the intro?
Welcome back to Craft Services, where we talk about the movies. Each week we talk about a film and hopefully have a crew member of that film to talk with us about their experience working on
The picture.
the picture. This week, Parth.
This week we're continuing our conversation with Benjamin Kračun, cinematographer of The Substance. This is part 2.
Wait. Wasn't he also the cinematographer for Promising Young Woman?
Oh, shit. Yes. And we talk about Substance stuff, talk about some other stuff he's worked on, and I think he was, and Trent, you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, but one of our better interviews.
Really nice guy. One of our better interviews? Oh, wait,
Yeah.
were you saying on our behalf or on his behalf? Both?
On both of our,
coalition of all these
he
things?
seems like he's sort of a great guest wherever he goes. 'Cause
Yeah,
it was
his
super nice.
day-to-day life is probably awesome. Just him being him. But, like, this was a rare intersection of us being at the top of our game and his normal game that's just really good. But it's like, in that fleeting moment in history, we were both having a good day and a good interview.
Well, I just realized we haven't cut to the interview yet. We got to do that. Let's cue the interview. I read somewhere that, and I couldn't tell whether this was you being hyperbolic or not, but was this a 100-day shoot?
No, it was. Yeah, it was 100 days.
So, like, that's a...
But that's, so then so now if we go back to what that's explaining about how the shoot was laid out now, because of that's a 100-day shoot, but that's not 100 days full crew.
Right, sure.
Shoot. It's actually a system. I wonder, I mean, I've shot like 3 movies in the States. I don't know if you could make this film in America with how the system is set up and how, do you know what I mean? Because there's no way, if you're in a union show, there's no way to really do kind of micro version of it. You either go, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's what I was confused by, because I was like, this is a, relatively inexpensive movie as compared to, other movies that exist.
It's a completely I don't know how they made it work completely. I can say that. I don't know. I know that, yeah, it was sort of 17 million in Paris. I know Paris has a system that's set up for film people who work and for crew there, that you sort of pay in to this fund kind of thing. And then when you're not working, you get you get half your pay and then they pay you when you're not working. And if you're part of that, which a lot of people, to be honest, it's a really great system. And I think that it kind of means, all I can say is that, again, the crew were totally amazing. And the people working on The Substance were primarily, a lot of them could have probably left and gone and did bigger jobs or commercials or whatever. But because of the way that system works in Paris, I think it gives them the freedom to really work on stuff they want to work on. And they don't have to worry about I need to, get my next rent in, because you're already in this system of where you get paid. And I think that times with how Corley wanted to make it, and that there is no union if you want to go to a reduced crew, one camera assistant, one lighting assistant, one grip. And that's how, it ended. So it sort of ended with 8 of us on a stage filming, I think maybe the olive in the glass. might have been one of the last shots.
And what I was going to ask about it being such a long schedule was, I shot a feature in about 30 days. And by the end of it, I was sick of it and sick of the rules that I had established for the movie, and wanted to never shoot it again. But and I wonder, like, shooting a 100-day schedule where it seems like you have such specificity of shot and like it's a very particular looking movie. What was that like to have to just keep attacking that over 100 days?
I'm trying to remember when I first got it. I was trying to remember if it was, did they say 100 days? What was in it? I need to look back at that email. I think maybe it was around 80 or something. It was always going to be long. And that's because of also practically, if it's prosthetics, you had to realize, like, to me, was sometimes in makeup for 8 hours or 6 hours. And that means you end up literally shooting a 2 hours with her. So you get like one shot or a couple of shots. At first, I would have had this. I've also shot, I've shot movies in 20 days. I've shot movies. This is definitely the longest I had shot. And there was definitely a little bit of what you were talking about by the end, for sure. I don't think anyone spoke to anyone after that last day. But there's also, I have to say, that it was so, thanks to the first AD or thanks to how Corley had designed it, it was kind of magical in a sense that it really felt like every week was a new challenge. And every single space in the house, like in her apartment, was like a different, you know what I mean? Like, oh, now we're doing like the bathroom work. And it really felt like, and when she made the secret room, I was like, oh my God, this is such an amazing, well, because I've worked in like on films where you're in like an apartment for like a week and you're just like, I need to get out of here, And this film, almost how you watch and what you feel, we were all going through it. And it was like, yeah, I remember like, it was just so amazing when we got to that secret room and I was like, this really changes how that space relates to this space. And I think those things, keeping it sort of somehow fresh and those challenges it didn't really feel like that 100 days, although it was.
Sure.
Can you talk about how you tried to evolve like the camera work throughout the movie to maybe like reflect the evolution of the substance?
The sort of, yeah, there was many. I mean, in the beginning, I guess the camera work you could see, I guess with Elizabeth, it's a little bit more controlled. We start off very symmetrical. That was something we always discussed. I guess she's kind of in her world that she has control of, and that then she no longer is, she doesn't, what is my world? Her reality is, put to a stop kind of thing, or it's like what's happening. And I think that is twofold with obviously the birth of Sue, and then that is her better self. And that camera is very vibrant. It moves around a lot. It's seductive. It's like we're filming a car, or like it's something like super.
Sure.
Yeah. And then what happens then in Elizabeth's world is the symmetry kind of starts to slowly go almost. She's very on the edge. Becomes wider lenses, and there's almost what was clear with the lens, or what was sort of that symmetrical clarity, is almost very edgy, and by the end just completely covered in blood. So we're almost filming through blood at that point. You know what? So the design and the way that flows in the film is very specific and important. There's also, yeah, the Harvey of it all and the nature of that, the kind of satire of it as well, yeah, which worked for him.
Speaking of filming through blood, could you talk about it? The theater extravaganza.
Yeah, the opera. That was again, because we looked at locations for a long time in Paris. At one point we found a theater that was actually going to renovate. And actually a lot of theaters, when they heard like, oh, we're going to film and there's going to be maybe some blood and an audience, they were all kind of into it. And then when we went down and Corley explained exactly what was happening, they never opened the door again. They were like, no way. That's not going to happen here. So then at one point we realized we're going to have to build that theater. So what's quite amazing about that is, if you imagine we started the shoot on Elizabeth's, in the large stage in Paris, in Elizabeth's apartment. And then at some point we were going to go off to a secondary stage and film the TV corridor and like pump it up. And at that point, Elizabeth's apartment got destroyed and they built the stage. So it was built on the top of Elizabeth's apartment. Almost. I mean, to it, it's quite fun as a fact. And then, yeah, so we had to set everything in there to begin with. I think we had a week where we were going to film it. So there was, or maybe it's maybe 5 days or 6 days. You know, there was like 2 dry days and then 3 days of blood. And it was, it was that amazing to do. You know, we had to set all of that, we had to do a little show almost. You know, I'd set in the lighting. We obviously had to all be waterproof, and we set up, we did a whole lighting setup as if we're doing a nice little New Year show. And then we even timed it that like throughout that sequence, they kind of like, they almost like falter. There's almost like a short circuit. So some of the lights would start kind of being quite odd. So that's even in there. And then again, within that space, you've got a hose of blood. So everything has to be completely secured and safe. And then within the audience, yeah, you've got stunt performers in that audience because not everyone can stand up. Like the floor just becomes like, you just slip, you know? And it's like, yeah, it was just really, really wild. It was really a great, one of the most fun times I think I've had filming.
What do you wear to set those days?
Well, then you're like suited. If you're not on the camera, you're completely suited in these kind of white suits. I mean, there were showers outside, you know, like quite a lot because we had all the extras and everything. So there's a whole system of like, if you were going in and the blood would like flow and then we'd go out and you'd get cleaned up. And often 2 or 3 times I went into the crowd. So then I would dress in a sort of actual suit, like a suit for going out, as if I was one of the audience or whatever. Yeah. And then Corley would just point the hose at me and we'd get covered in blood. But it was quite amazing because there was many elements. Again, it was quite a nice moment when we were setting up, and because it gets so loud, I can remember exactly how many seats in the audience we had, but 30 of them were stunt performers and the rest is full audience. And you've got the blood going, so you can't really hear. You know, at some point you can't. It's not like someone can go cut and you hear. So we used to have like a timer when the blood was like running out, and the gaffer, we did like a sort of color thing. You know, there was like blue light that would flash, and then there was like red light that would flash that was showing like we're into like the last 10 seconds. I remember the first time we tested that, the minute we like flashed all the right lights red, I just remember like looking at Coralie and I was like, oh my God, that looks amazing. You know, like the red light and the red blood just made like an even more. So we were like, wow, that's a really great thing. Let's use that towards right at the end in the theater. So I think that kind of like approach, and there was so much planning and so many people involved to get that to work. But then every day being able to search for that nuance or that new piece or something that would change it. You know what I mean? That was always like there.
I was wondering about like some of the shots with like the eyeball or with like the blurring when people are falling. Correct me if I'm wrong. Seems like it involves VFX, and I was wondering what your like involvement or conversations look like with them when you're filming it to know sort of what you're going to end up with.
Yeah. So you mean when it goes right in the eye and there's like the substance? Liquid.
Yeah, or like her eye is like multiplying, or like one eye is pushing the other eye. Yeah.
Again, that was from the original. If we go back to my original test in the camera house of the birth, with the doubles, I'd already we'd done like a sequence, and that had gone through to VFX even then, and they had done like little temp pieces, so we could see how that was going to be, and it was in constant. They were on set, you know, most days that there was any VFX to be done. So we were always like looking at that. The eye one, I didn't see till the end, but yeah, when we go into the eye and come out, I had seen like a version of that. But yeah, it was all very in constant discussion, you know, with Corley and with the VFX. A lot of it, I mean, there's the eye sequence. I'm trying to think of the other pieces. Other pieces are like more like, because again, like Monstro and stuff, it's more like the joins in the suit and things like that. There's not so many that were made completely in VFX. Oh, the face on the back, that was another one. You know, the expression on the back, where to me it's like on the
Sure, yeah.
That's like a big. That was so that was was actually made on the back of Monstro, but it was in the kind of scream position, as it were. So then it was like we would film, and then we also filmed to me in those different lighting where I created, again, like sort of a small version of the theater lighting, and we'd had her, you know, essentially against green going, like doing the impressions and things. So that was all very like locked in with how we'd filmed, watching it together and then going, okay, this shot.
And then what about her sort of final puddle form?
Well, I wanted to ask
blob,
about
the
the star shot montage at the beginning, and how at the end you call back to that, and you know, tying that with the puddle Elizabeth.
Blob, we called it Blob. But
Blob,
yeah.
Sure.
He was in blob form.
What was the title card? It was like Monstro Elizasu. Like
that's it. Yeah,
that's so
Monstro
awesome.
Elizasu.
That's really awesome.
So the star again was done in the lab near the end with a few more people. That was not just because that was actually one of the larger pieces that was left to the end. I mean, because it's in a sense it had its own. It's almost, you know, it's bookending the film, and it had its own kind of short film form in a sense almost, and was quite, you know, it was a lot to, you know, think about. Even though it's a static camera with one shot, I think we zoom at the end into the star, but there's so many, everything around it is moving. If you've got a static shot, then you've got so much movement in front of the camera. You know, we had like, so the lights were on a track and an arm, so we could do like sunlight coming up. We had like a fake palm tree, and the shadow would move over. You know, rain. There's even a little bit of snow, so you know that it's a illusion or a fantasy. And then, yeah, and the blob part was all done for real with puppeted underneath. So there were like people underneath moving the blob along. Obviously then in VFX you tidy up the kind of, but what's fascinating there is then the blob lands, and then again you'd maybe think like, oh well, it's just when it sort of melts and disappears that would be like VFX, but no, we actually heated the star and it melts for real. So that's like was done in time. Then it became like time lapse, and we
I would never have expected that.
So it's kind of like, yeah, there was one that we designed. It could heat from the bottom, and the crack that it went through and everything. Quite an amazing. We did that, and we had 2 goes at that. And actually, something. The first time we did that one, we melted it, and then when the blob melted, you could just see all my lights reflected, and the camera. You know, like up in the studio ceiling. And I was like, no, you know, we've like spent like, it was, you know, it's like 5 hours for the blob to melt. And no, so it was quite amazing. So it was actually like really beneficial to, again, if you weren't filming in that set and being able to do it again like that, we were like, okay, well, we're going to come back and we're going to do it one more time. And then we changed all the lighting, so it was off to the side. But yeah, it was something I didn't foresee that until, because I was like, wow, it's melting. What's that? Oh my God, it's just like a sky panel, and that's the camera. And I was like, oh yeah. So you know, I'm glad that process, we were able to redo some stuff that was technically really challenging.
I mean, it seems like every shot was difficult, but is there a most difficult shot that you can think of?
That's a really good question. Well, the shower one was one just because of it was one we tested a lot. The birth we've discussed. Gosh, there's like so many in there that I could. There was like the little one, you know, the little motorbike shot. Did you see that? It's only in there for a second. I think it's when she wakes up. I'm trying to remember if it's Sue or there's basically a motorbike that comes towards and hits the camera. And it was written like motorbike drives towards camera and crashes into camera. And I was like, oh, Corley, but we've got this little line about this motorbike. And she's like, yeah, I just want the motorbike to hit the camera. I'm like, I'm not sure, legally we can ever have a motorbike. Even if it's a stuntman and the camera's like that. But yeah, so in the end, that is it's a model motorbike that we put on like a electrics and put like a light on and it comes towards. It's a really quick shot, but just like little things like that where you're like, okay, we have to work that out.
There's another really cool car shot where you're like tracking Sue outside and then the camera goes like right in front of the exhaust of the car and then it goes up to them on the back. I thought that shot was really cool.
No, that was a good one. Yeah, that just took some rehearsing. That was with the we're on a Trinity rig, you know, it's like a Steadicam rig, but it has another arm so you can go really low and then come up. And then so I was like, we had a really good Trinity operator and he was we kind of blocked it many times, to get it exact on the exhaust, then up, they drive off. Yeah, it's a cool shot.
A question we like to ask people is like after the totality of working on this movie, if there's sort of like one lesson that you will take with you going forward as like something important you've learned about movies or life.
Movies or life. That's a good one. I mean, there are many lessons I learned from The Substance. One was like, because of the length it was and how to work for that length of time, like that kind of marathon. I think, you know, the thing that I come back to a lot on this is that everyone involved was in a really good way. You know, Corley pushes like so much and in a really creative way. And I think like if you respond to that and respond in the right way to that, you can really discover like how far you can go, you know what I mean? And I think like there's certain points where you think, oh, this is impossible, or how are we going to do this? And slowly you realize that working through it and getting, every day just getting over those like hurdles was like just so amazing. And really like creative, like finding creative solutions for them. It was really like, you know, we always say, when me and Corley had chatted recently, it was like we were all in that studio kind of burrowing away, left to our own devices, you know what I mean? No one was coming down to check on us. And we were really just like kept going through it. And it was just kind of, I think just that, being able to understand that, you know, minds together can create something quite wonderful, which of course we all know, but you know, it's so easy to get, especially on film where or on film sets when things aren't running, let's say, in a way that you like, or people think it's a little bit disorganized, and it's really easy to kind of respond to that and be like, well, this isn't how it's done, and that's not how this is done. And I think like The Substance really shows as a film and as a result that, you know, it's going to be unconventional how you make it. And often those great results are created in some sort of flux where things are not really the correct way to do them. Or I don't mean that, sorry, that is in no way talking about safety. I'm talking about like just trying to come up with things together, not in always the, you know, because you don't have all the money and things. So it really pushes you to think about that, you know, which is a really, I think, important lesson.
Necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah.
Very good.
We were wondering if you have anything that you are able to talk about coming down the pipeline that you are working on or have worked on.
I finished a film this year with actually out. Are you guys in New Jersey? So it's out in New Jersey where we shot that.
Oh wow! Do you remember where in New Jersey you shot?
Yeah, Lambertville. You've been out to Lambertville. It's near New Hope, so it's right on the border.
Okay,
it's right on Pennsylvania.
Almost Pennsylvania.
Yeah, basically.
Sure.
No, that's so a film with Michael Pearce, who I did Beasts with. It's written by Brad Inglesby, who did Mayor of Easttown.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah. And that was where it was supposed to be shot, but then the tax break there ran out, or we couldn't go because we were too late, so it ended up being New Jersey. But obviously the locations and how it's very
Things
rural.
are better in New Jersey, so I understand.
Yeah.
There's like a tax cut now, or a tax credit or something.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something to do with that.
Exactly.
Parth, do you have the big kahuna in the chamber?
Sure. The big kahuna question, and you don't need to be scared, but maybe a little bit, is just what's the last great movie you watched? And it can be a first-time watch or a rewatch, but it has to be a great movie.
Oh, it has to be a great movie.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not just good, great.
And I watch a lot of films, because it's just been London Film Festival. I was at Cannes.
That's the best. Most DPs or people we ask, they're like, "Oh, I haven't watched anything in 3 months." So it's just so you know.
But then great. But you said the word great, so that's actually. Actually, I'm going to say that near the beginning of the year, I really liked La Chimera. You seen La Chimera?
No, I've heard of it, but I never actually saw it.
Josh O'Connor, looting graves in southern Italy. Yeah. It's really amazing. You need to watch it if you. It's really got a very sort of poetic and free style, and quite. There's something really timeless about it, carnival-esque about it. Characters you don't see. It's very it's really, really good. And actually, one of the best I've seen, like Josh O'Connor. If you like Elliot Gould in the On Goodbye, or if you like his white suit, is almost like Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia or something. But it's very interesting. It's a film that it was, I want to say it was Neon last year who picked it up. And because Neon had Anatomy of a Fall, I obviously pushed Anatomy of a Fall, and that film went to the side. So it's quite interesting that no one really watched it, I don't think. It was just an experience in the cinema that I hadn't had for a while. I really enjoyed it.
So where did The Substance premiere? Was it at Cannes?
Yeah, that premiered at Cannes. That was an amazing, again, The Substance was, because Coralie edits, she had some help. I think there's 3 editors altogether, but she edits a lot of herself, and that was a long process, even a year and a half, I think, altogether. And there was, The Substance, at one point, it's a much bigger discussion, but it almost didn't get released kind of thing. Well, because Universal paid for it, and they didn't know what to do with it.
Sure.
Yeah. No, in I don't know if it was just they just weren't into it, or they were what do we do with this? We don't understand it. We don't know the audience or whatever. So there were a few things that then occurred, and they were all very positive for the film. One of them is getting into Cannes, and then Universal allowing to sell it and Mubi buying it, which was literally, I don't know the timeline, but literally a couple of weeks before its premiere in Cannes. If not a week before, from a month before that was what's happening with this film? Are they even going to release it? Kind of thing. So it was really, it was such a amazing evening that.
And then it won Best Screenplay.
Yeah. Should have got director, really, I think, but they had to give it one. I think, the idea itself is amazing. I think it's a great idea. You know what I mean? The concept. I do think the screenplay is really, really strong. I wished it had got the Palme d'Or, obviously, but it didn't go for that.
I saw it with my girlfriend, and we were surprised that it won screenplay and not because it just seems it works because of its execution, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I think everyone, that's very clear. At the same time, there's, the people who say the screenplay is the intelligent award. It's even in the Academy Awards. It's,
Sure.
It's
Tarantino always wins screenplay. They always win screenplay because there's not, it isn't, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but somehow that's...
It's what you give to the really, really good movie that you're not going to give Best Picture to.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how we that's how we process that one. But it was that was such a great, for the first time where no one's seen the film, because now I think you read about it and people understand, the satire and they understand the tone. But to see that for the first time was like, it's always so magical when people are laughing where you want them to laugh, or like just how like the energy in the room when it finished and after all that blood and stuff was just, yeah, I don't think that moment was just so amazing. And then I looked in front of me and like Abel Ferreira was like sat right there, and like, it was very like
surreal.
I was just like, wow, this is so fucking cool.
Well, I think that's a great place to end. Trent, do you want to bring us out?
Thanks so much to Benjamin Kračun. He's the cinematographer who's worked on such films as Beast, Promising Young Woman, and our film for today, The Substance. Thanks so much for chatting with us.
Thank you, guys. That's amazing.
What an interview, Trent.
What an interview. That was fun. That's the end of that, though.
Yeah, it's so sad that we couldn't just keep talking to Benjamin Kračun. We did have a discussion with him prior to recording where we said, so is it Benjamin Kračun or Kraken? And he was like, it's Kraken, guys, but it's actually Kračun, but actually say Kraken.
Yeah, he was like, he basically gave us approval to say it wrong, and then literally 20 seconds later, Parth introduced him with the quote-unquote wrong but accepted name, and I was there laughing to myself.
Well, that's what he said. He goes by professionally, so I was like, I guess that's what we introduce you as. Anyways, thank you so much to Benjamin Kračun for talking with us and listening to us and being super cool and nice. Yeah, Trent?
Yeah, thanks for being cool and nice. Oh, to Benjamin Kračun? Or...
Yes.
Yeah,
Kraken.
All that.
But yes.
Appreciate the listeners at home listening and being nice. I appreciate Parth always volunteering to be the one to try to pronounce the guest's name when their last name is a little ambiguous.
Sure.
And I appreciate our access to reproductive rights. For now,
I'm also appreciative of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Pandora, wherever you get your podcasts, really, for hosting our podcast.
And then some other things I'm appreciative are, of course, Instagram, Twitter.
Are we appreciative of Twitter? I think right now we can say we're not.
But Instagram, owned by Facebook. Instagram's got me in the palm of their hand, even though, like, ugh.
Well, I mean, none of it is good. None of it is very good. We're not really grateful, but you can check us out on Instagram and Twitter if you want to see us update about new episodes. Next week, we will have another episode. We've got some things on the pipeline, or in the pipeline. Interesting people. Trent, do you agree? There's, I think, 3 interesting guests, and we'll see which one.
And you've only told me about 2 of them.
Told you about all 3.
That's the most interesting part.
I've told you about all 3, Trent.
Okay, so next week we'll be coming back with Kamala Harris.
But yes.
Win, lose, or draw, Kamala Harris will be on our show. We have, and then the week after, the Rizzler has agreed to come on, but both parties have said that they are not willing to do a joint episode. So they have to be entirely separate. Which
did you see the Rizzler on Jimmy Fallon?
We're looking forward to them. Sorry, Parth. What'd you say about the Rizzler or Kamala?
Did you see Rizzler on Jimmy Fallon?
I did. It was wholly uninteresting.
Yeah, it was pretty
frankly,
terrible.
I'd be more interested in Vice President Kamala Harris coming on the show.
Yeah.
Parth, you asked before if you think craft services is willing to be go on the record as saying we're a Kamala pod, and I'm willing.
Yeah, I would say, guys, just please vote. It's scary times out here.
Now, if things go south, people like the kids who bullied us in high school can like play this clip back and be like, "Oh, you said she was gonna fucking win, bro. You're so stupid." And then they'll call us.
And they'll shoot us up. Oh, well. Check us out next week, guys. We'll see what we've got going on. Until then,
we'll see how the country's doing.
Yeah,
But still, movies
genuinely, Trent,
movies continue to come out.
This is our last pod before the election.
TVs keep the TV's still on. It's still warm, and the AMC and Parth's still an A-lister. No matter, even if he has to go to an AMC abroad.
What the hell are you talking about?
You know, while you're fighting international wars, you can still be an A-lister.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.